Many different types of industries use Photoshop for different purposes. You have people who use Photoshop for film work. You have Photoshop users who create textures for 3D models and games. You also have users who are specifically creating things for magazines and other print media. And then you have your website designers and your game designers who are working on things that are going to be seen on TV and on the web. So, when it comes to image size and resolution, I just want to clear up a few things that will make things a little easier to understand as far as what you're doing in Photoshop for a certain task. Let's first of all talk about the web designer. Up here in the image size dialog box, by the way, if you didn't see where I got that from, I went to image size. This is the area that web designers should keep their eyes on right here, and the resolution down here. Now, what this means as far as pixel width and height is the realm of the person working on something that is going to be seen on a monitor of some type. When you're working on a screen, whether it's a computer screen or a television screen, you are not going to be working in inches, as you see down here. You're not going to be working in percent. You're going to be working in pixels. Pixels are what make up these monitors. They're made up of millions and millions of these little dots called pixels, and each one can have one of a billion colors, for example. Now, just going a little too far, but as you can see, you understand my point. So this image, as you see here, is 1491 pixels wide by 1044 high. Now, most web pages are nowhere near these dimensions. Most people design websites for a width of about 600 pixels or 800 pixels and a height of about 600 to 800 pixels. Of course, these vary. But as you can see, if this was going to be on a web page, the page would be larger than most monitors, unless you have a very big monitor. Also, the pixel dimensions give us a size of 4.45 megabytes, which in and of itself is unacceptable for web purposes. So what would you do? You would knock this down to something more reasonable for the web. For example, 600 pixels by 420, if this is going to be your splash page, or something even smaller. Now, I do cover in another lesson how to use another feature, as you see here, called File, Save for Web and Devices, which will give you a much better compression scheme when it comes to knocking down an image size for use on the web. But I'm going to go back to image size here and just remind you that you're going to be working in pixels. Another way you can deal with your resolution is you want to work for web at 72 dpi, no higher, because your monitor can only display 72 pixels per inch. Think of it this way. For every inch on your monitor, there are 72 dots going this way and that way. 72 pixels per inch. No more, no less. So even if you bump this up to 4 billion, it won't make your pictures look any better. So that's something very important. You don't want to go too low though, so keep that about 72. I'm going to put that back at 300 now, and I'm going to come on down to the second size, and this is where people who are doing things for print media, magazines, newspapers, postcards, that kind of thing. You live here. This is document size, and you're dealing with inches. You're not going to do anything else. You're going to be dealing with inches unless you're working for a magazine or a newspaper who works in centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, and columns. So, of course, these are all print related. So, what does this mean? This means that when we print this to an actual printer, and you hold the paper in your hand, this image is only going to be 4.97 inches wide by 3.48 inches high, and the resolution at 300 pixels per inch is going to give us a nice quality printout. Now, if we were to lower this to 72 pixels per inch, the image quality would suffer. It would degrade because we're telling the printer to use less pixels per inch. So, of course, we're going to have a grainier image. Now, in some of the places that I've worked, I've printed things out at 600 pixels per inch. Now, of course, you also have to scan in your images at a nice quality. So don't think that by bumping the resolution up just from this dialog box, you're going to increase the quality of the image. A lot of people think that, because they're printing from the web, the image on the web is 72 pixels per inch. They think that if they bump this up to 300 or 600, the image will get better because Photoshop will fill in those blanks. Not the case. It's not going to help very much, so don't even think that. If you want a nice high quality printout, you have to put in at high quality by scanning it in. So once again, I hope this image size and resolution whole thing is covered up and cleared up a little bit more clearly for people who want to know the difference between working on the monitor with the pixel dimensions and working with print output from the document size.